All right, cool. All right, so we're ready. We're powered up. Okay, so nonverbal communication week number 2. By the way, everyone did really good on their videos, and we want to continue to amp up, especially the introduction of your and saying your name. Keep that as jazz as possible. We're going to get into some other nonverbal cues and some nonverbal power portions of our bodies, our communication, to continue to amp up our communication confidence, right? You're always communicating, and you're always communicating with a level of confidence, and there's no separating the two, right? We said that. So we're going to continue to utilize video as well. Video will help you get the thought process of just being more confident, 1, in making videos, and then 2, in talking to people. So our goal is to make sure that for those of you who may have a little bit of anxiety approaching someone, that anxiety is totally taken out. You can utilize video in order to do that. The second thing is that we're going to make sure that you also know how to do is how to attract people to you to talk to you, okay? So that's why we're talking about the nonverbal communication cues and making sure that we are continuing to do what we need to do. So,
does Daniel know?
He won't be on today.
Oh, okay.
Daniel won't be on today. So making sure that we continue to utilize that as our determining factor on how you are increasing. And today we're going to talk about, we're going to really look at the visual perspective, okay? So if you've noticed politicians, no pun on Angie there, if you notice people that are of a celebrity status, if you notice people that are of a higher status, say for an executive, most of the, I won't say all of them, but mostly the ones that have larger organizations, because they now have been trained on how to be that power person. So that's a skill set that you can utilize and is also measurable. Again, as I stated last time, I think the reason why most people don't improve on their soft skills is because they don't know how to measure it. They don't know how to measure it. So we are going to have a video just on that, on how to measure that. So now we're going to start bringing some awareness to your measurement status, okay? How many of you had an opportunity to watch the videos? Okay, good, good, good. Okay, so the videos are important to watch because it's going to give you the rudiment. Remember, it's all the rudiment. We take our clients through at least about 8 weeks of just the rudiment. So we made those videos so you can understand the rudiment of our entire system. And the Champions of Confidence Communication Confidence system is heavily embedded with what we are talking about there. So if I ask you a question, for those of you who watch the video, let's see how embedded it is in your head. Remember, this is all about awareness. When you talk about communication and confidence, it's 2 ways. The one thing that I forgot to mention last week was everything we teach has a duality purpose to it, okay? It has a duality, meaning that, of course, you are communicating, and when you're communicating, someone's also communicating back to you, okay? That's really important to learn. So when you're using your observation skills, someone's observing you. When you are utilizing any sort of communication piece, any sort of nonverbal communication piece, you are communicating one way, but they're also communicating to you. So it's really important to remember that that duality factor is always there. So my question is, okay, so 5 parts of the self, which is very important. You have to memorize, at least get this rudiment when we're talking about the 5 parts of the self, which is different from the 5 parts of the authentic self. So we already talked about 1. So 5 parts of the authentic self. 1 is self-confidence. Someone name another one. There's 5 of them. Name another one. It's really important.
Self-esteem.
Self-esteem. What else?
Image.
Image, yes, right.
There we go. I was like, the way you look at yourself.
Yes.
I couldn't think of the word.
There's 2 more.
Let's see.
Self-worth.
Self-worth, right. And then last one is?
Self-worth, self-confidence.
The hardest one.
Control.
Come on. What is it?
Self-control.
Self-control, yes. That was very tough. And everything that we're going to be talking about doing in this whole entire 6-week class is embedded also in your self-control. It takes an extreme amount of self-control to watch the ums when you talk. It takes an extreme amount of self-control to watch the foot bounce, right? Going up and down when you're in a meeting. It takes the extreme amount of self-control to not click the pen. So you have to now take those little nuances, those little idiosyncrasies, and become consciously aware of those things and then control them. So we have self-confidence, we have self-esteem, self-image, self-worth, and self-control. Those 5 parts being the top part, the apex or the peak of our system. Everything else is embedded on that. So we'll talk about communication, confidence, no separating the two. Nonverbal communication and self-control, no separating the two. Only when you know how to control it, because there are a lot of things that we do that are totally subconscious, Micro expressions, when we start talking about expressions, the micro little tweaks of the face and the eyebrow, all those things that we do, we have to learn how to control those things, but we have to bring it to an awareness. So we're going to talk about some of that today. So any questions there thus far?
So like sometimes I know like controlling your emotions. Are there times when it's okay to show emotion? You know, is there a balance, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Yes. And in fact, that's one of the modalities, balance. And there's 4 parts of balance, right? So we talk about balance, that you have to be balanced. Everything is balanced. Self-control is right. I mean, let's say self-esteem right here in the middle. Then when the pendulum swings on both sides, you low self-control over here, right? I mean, low self-confidence. You have self-confidence, which is a healthy amount. Then you have arrogance over here. There's always a balance to everything that we do. So yes, there are times when it's appropriate to show emotions, and then there are times when it's inappropriate to show emotions and fly off the handle. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So again, balance is key. Balance is very, very key. And if you look at our graphic from the 10,000 point view and look at the videos, we talk about the 4 principles of balance. Good question. Very, very, very good question. That's imperative to learn that you'll see how all these things start working together. Because you have the self-control, because you're utilizing some nonverbal communication, you gotta have self-control, which you have to balance it out. I mean, all these things are tied in together, and that's the whole thought process and the science behind the system that we teach, okay? And getting it right here, embedded into the cellular level so that it can carry on. Cool? All right, any other questions? All right, let's get into the subject matter. So we'll talk about power dressing. Here's my quote: power dressing, power posing, power walking, and power talking are all learned behaviors. Everything that we teach here is not innate. And again, I repeat, not because I don't have anything to say, but I repeat because that's what? That's in one of the ways that you're going to master of the information that you're going to learn. So that's the 6 principles of mastery: audio, visual, kinesthetic, meditation, repetition, and teach, right? So we repeat because it's how you're going to get it embedded in the mind. So power dressing, power posing, power talking, all learned behaviors. Make sure we understand that going into everything that we're going to talk about. So today we're going to really focus on not only some objects of the body or some movements of the body. We'll talk about what proprioception is. But also we're going to focus on the appearance and the body language and understanding what you're doing with your body. Because you are communicating, and there are times we do things that we just don't know about, right? So appearance and the body, the body language go hand in hand. So let's talk about some power nonverbal facts. Now we're going to talk about, we'll show you in a second, there's a little pie graph that we have for your quick reference graphic today. 4 parts of it we're going to talk about today. 1 part we're going to leave for next week. So power nonverbal facts are: our bodies change our minds change our behaviors change our outcomes. This is a social psychologist, Amy Cuddy. She did a lot of research on some of the information we're going to talk about today, especially when we get down to the power poses. So 1, our nonverbals govern how we think about ourselves, okay? Our nonverbals, they govern how you think about yourself. That's why people can look at you and you'll be able to do the same thing, use your observation skills, and you can have an assessment on their level of confidence, on the level of self-control, right? Things they say, do, you'll be able to understand that. So 2, our nonverbals govern how we feel about ourselves. So how we feel about ourselves is really intertwined with which one of the 5 parts of the self?
Our inner. Like which part is self-image?
One of the 5 parts of
self-image, self-confidence.
I'm sorry?
Image? Self-image? No. Self-esteem.
Self-esteem, that's right. Self-esteem, that's right. Self-esteem is more internal. That's one of the big differentiators between self-esteem and self-esteem and self-confidence. Self-confidence can be seen in this exercise in your ability to quality your judgment, so people can see that on the outside. The self-esteem, even though people can see it, how you feel, but it's how you feel about yourself that makes your body do what you do. Okay, so self-esteem is more internal, self-confidence more external. Even though it's all internal too. But our nonverbals can influence our physical body, right? Our nonverbals can influence our physical body, meaning that how we feel, we can, have certain emotions and certain things that we tend to do, again, subconsciously. Our nonverbals shape how we are, and our nonverbals can influence others, right? So how can I give an example of how your nonverbals can influence someone else?
If you flip somebody off.
Say again?
If you flip somebody off.
There you go. That's one way. Sign language, right? Boom, this is a birdie, right? What else?
Well, on the same token, when you smile, it just changes everything. It breaks the ice when you smile at somebody, you don't know them. So.
Right, exactly. That's why in networking, really important to walk with someone with a smile, right? Real smile. The eyes tell whether that's a real smile. What else? Our nonverbals can influence others. How so?
If you come in with a negative attitude, you can bring down everyone else. Or you can, like Myrna was saying, you can be the life of the party and bring the,
Right.
So your verbal, like how you bring yourself in front of people would make a difference.
Absolutely. So that energy that you have, when we talk about energy and one of the 5 levels of thinking, energetic thinking, making sure that you come in with the right way of thinking or the energy, because that can affect someone else's mood. All correct answers. Very good. And it's very important to realize that and keep that at the top of mind. Okay. Keep it at the top of mind awareness.
Anderson, if I recall my communications classes from college, which has been a long time ago, but 98% of our communication is nonverbal.
Yeah. Very, very
98%.
Yeah. Nonverbal communication. So, and that's why it's really important to understand the nonverbal cues, because a lot of times you can tell what someone's saying out of their mouth and what's really going on, what's really happening, what they're really thinking, what's really transpiring in the background could be totally different. The big dichotomy between what's said and what's been shown.
So here's a pie chart that is for your reference. You can use this later on as well. So we have the power dressing.
What you want to talk about today?
We have the power walking. We're going to talk about that as well. Power sitting, power posing and standing. The only thing we're not going to talk about today is the power talking, because that is the verbal. So the others are the non-verbal essentials.
So power dressing.
All right.
Can you just over here? Can you read it?
Oh yeah, I can. So power dressing is the unique style of an individual that shows their position, authority in business and at workplace. So if you are an executive and you are somebody's superior, if you do not dress the part, people will not, and I've seen that in places. Are you the boss around here? Sometimes people will come up to you and say, do you work here? Just depending how you're dressed, or are you the boss, or are you the manager? So just depends how you carry yourself, how you dressed is going to really speak for itself. So like it said, power dressing is the unique style of an individual that shows their position and authority in business and at workplace. Now, when people advise you to dress for the position you thrive for, they say it rightly, as power dressing has a major impact on your career and your business. I was always told, dress up for the next position. Even if you're not a regional or a vice president or executive vice president or the president, look the part at least, because that is what the companies look for, to see how you present yourself. What is your demeanor? How does your executive presence in a nutshell?
Yeah. And so when we talk about executive presence, which we won't talk about in this class setting, but we will talk about it later on in another. Executive presence has a lot to do with how you dress, because that's going to make the difference on how you feel about yourself as well. So in turn, take a look at this. So some articles out there. So Business Insider said it turns out that dressing well can actually make you more successful, right? Because people see you at a certain height in business and at the workplace because of how you dress. And here's another article: why dressing for success leads to success. And that's again, it's apropos for what we're talking about here. Research shows that clothes you wear actually change the way you perform. That's why sometimes, even though I work primarily from home, there are times when I will dress up in something, not my ascot and everything else, like my brand, but I will dress up because it affects my mood, especially if I have a phone call to make. I will still dress and not be so lax in my clothing because it can affect my mood and affect my success on the other end of or the person listening to me on the other end of the phone. It automatically, for me, I get in this mindset where I'm automatically thrown into this more executive mindset. And so I'd even use different words or even bigger words. And that's, again, when we talk about verbal communication later on, how we're talking, but the vocabulary or your lexicon has a lot to do with how someone perceives you as well. So take a look at this one. It says, in a study completed by Yale in 2014, that used 128 men between the age of 18 and 32, researchers had participants partake in mock negotiations of buying and selling. Negotiation skills is one of the 42 that we teach. It says those dressed poorly in sweatsuits and plastic sandals averaged a theoretical profit of $680,000, while the group dressed in suits amassed an average of profit of $2.1 million. Right? The group dressed neutrally averaged $1.58 million profit. Now, again, why is that so? If you read the whole study, it talks about how the authority figure sets into place. And this is one of the ways you can start measuring nonverbal communication and how that skill set adds to your back pocket, the wallet. I recall vividly 3 times in my life, because of the way I was dressed and my nonverbal cues that I purposely did, it amassed to higher level in business when I was in the corporate world. And I'm thinking, wow, this really does work. But again, it's all about how you look at this, right? Making sure that you dress appropriately. It does have an effect on how you see someone else or how someone else sees you. Remember, two-way communication, right? So if you see someone, you go to a meeting, you see someone dressed like somebody that can get away with to say Mark Zuckerberg, right? Says he comes in a hoodie, right? You're meeting this guy for the first time. You guys are about to start doing some business or potentially start doing some business. He came in a meeting with jeans, t-shirt, and a hoodie, and you coming up and you're dressed in a suit. You may have or be reluctant to do business with that person more so, right? Why? You're meeting with someone and they come dressed up in a hoodie and t-shirt. Why would you be more reluctant? Or would you be more reluctant? Or would it not matter?
Well, most of the time, if people are dealing with finances, you want to be able to trust the person that you're working with. And when you see somebody in a hoodie and a t-shirt, you're like, well, how good are you really with numbers? Because if you can't, you could
take care of yourself. Yeah.
Being put together there's a reason why it's called being put together versus, that's just my opinion on that.
Sure.
So.
Who else has a thought process on that?
Yeah, I think I would be open. I definitely would pay attention to it and, wonder why they were dressed that way. But just depending on who you're dealing with and, what type of business situation it is, especially being out here on the West Coast, is a different standard than maybe if you were back East. But I think all of that would factor into how I would perceive that person.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Okay, good.
To me, it's also respect. I mean, if somebody respects you enough, they're going to take time to present themselves well. And that's a representation of their company. To me, when I'm an entrepreneur and I go dressed in, I guess he doesn't care. He's rich. Money talks for him because he has a reputation. But for someone who doesn't, it really, to me, it's all respect. How do you respect even for him? If he has that much money, you show respect to other people by dressing the part.
Sure. Yeah, you could. Now, again, because of the status of money, the research has shown that because someone like Mark Zuckerberg, who would show up with a hoodie on, because of the status and because of the generation as well, those things matter. But still, when you're dealing with people, it's always better to dress the part. So power dressing. So when we look at power dressing, look at all these folks here. There's Melania Trump there at the bottom, right? Businesses. Now, your style. Now, I think next week or the week after, we're going to talk about creating a brand that attracts, right? That attract clients, attract people to you. And so it's important to start thinking what your brand may look like or feel like to you. When I say look, prospectively, if someone's looking at it, your brand, you should have a feeling for your brand as well, okay? So not just a look for you, it is gonna come to play to fruition with a look, but you also wanna have a certain feel about your brand. Because when you have a certain feel about your brand, that's when your brand is more authentic for you. That's when your brand is more authentic to you. And it's totally okay to try different things. We're gonna talk about which sorts of things you can start testing for yourself and what works. So just to kind of give you an idea about my brand, when I look at these colors here, I tend towards, I like some pastels, but I also like blues. I like brighter blue. I tend to like brighter colors. So I wanted to accentuate my brand with some sort of brighter colors and or some sort of mix of colors, something that's very eye-catching. For me, it had to be eye-catching. We'll talk about that again next week. But also, what we're going to talk about when you have your brand, another thing that's important with your power dress, what we're going to talk about today with a lot of information to cover, is your power walk and your power stand, your power sit. All that comes together for your brand. And you're going to communicate confidence. You're going to communicate how you feel about yourself by your brand and how you stand, how you sit, and how you approach people and how you walk. So we'll talk about those things later on. So if you look at these brands here for the guys, I feel like the brand all the way to the left, I like that brand. I don't like, so for me, I don't like the short pants. I can't do that the European short pants. Or the tight pants, because my body's more athletic and I'm not built like that. So I can't do tight pants. So
please,
I like
no tight pants, brother.
I'm sorry, say again?
Please, no tight pants.
No tight pants. No tight pants. I do like the brand over to the left, and I like the brand that's more for about 5 more in with the vest. So anytime you have a vest, I do like the vest. And the last 4, yeah, but I like the second to the last one because he has a vest there. Again, my brand typically has a vest when I am dressing with it. So as part of my power dress. So when they talk about power dressing for the occasion of power dressing, they say think dress up one, meaning that if you're going in a room, everyone's dressed in button-down shirts, then wear a blazer, right, with your button-down shirt. If you go into the room and everyone has blazers, add a vest to it, right, and then that's one more up. It really depends on the person. I'll go 2-3 times that. Sometimes it depends, but it's still appropriate. So ladies, at the bottom, which one fits more of your brand? Which one is more power? Let me ask this question for a brand. Which one is more power dressed to you?
I'm sorry.
I don't know. I think I like go ahead.
No, the ladies, no. Well,
which one's more power dress here for you? Feel like one of these styles is more of a power dress, if you had to pick one.
Definitely Trump for me. Whatever. I can't think. Melania.
Okay.
But my style is more at the very end, the one with the leather pants and the boots. I think that is so cute.
I like that. I know.
The jacket. Oh my gosh, that's adorable.
Think as an entrepreneur, not going off on a date. Granison, that's not the right one for this slide.
No.
Oh, got it. Okay.
I would definitely not wear that for a business meeting.
I think the one right next to her, next to the leather pants.
Yes, the gray one. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that's definitely a good power suit too. Sorry, go ahead.
The gray one, then the pantsuit is pretty good too. Melania looks good. The other one too. The other 2 pantsuits, the jumpsuits, not so much as a business, but they're okay. But for women, you know what, the power If you're wearing a skirt suit, knee length or right below the knee, as you can see, most of the power suits are either at the knee or right below. Definitely not mid-thigh. That is not a power suit. And you know, people these days, younger crowd, that's what they think the skirts mid-thigh are power, but they're not. They're sexy, but there is another place for that. But for power suit, at the knee or below the knee, and if you can see, none of them have their bosom showing. So the cleavage, it has a place for it as well somewhere, but in a business setting, it certainly does not, because you want to present yourself all eyes here, not here. So that's how you want to present yourself, that they're looking at you, your eyes, your face, what you're saying and how you're saying, but not looking down at your chest.
So if they are, say, more chesty, how can they tone it down a bit?
Just by not showing cleavage. I mean,
what about a jacket? Would a jacket would help too?
Yes.
Well, jacket, yes, but also, you know, a collar shirt, like the one in the gray. She's got a high collar shirt and she's got a blazer on. So higher button instead of a low cut. So more of a higher cut.
Okay.
I have a question.
Huh?
I have a question. A while ago, I had a friend of mine that she said that when she was in the corporate world, I mean, she had long hair, but she said it wasn't until she cut her hair short that the guys actually started listening to her. She was an authority figure. Not really difference.
You know that, yeah,
long hair.
That's funny too. Now, long hair in a business setting, it has to be tucked back behind the ears. If they're flipping and flying, you know, it comes across as that you're using your hair as an accoutrement or something to seduce men with. That's what the hair is taken for. So that's why when people have shorter hair, they think, you know, they really don't care about the hair. It's more about the person. But if you do have long hair, have it either tucked back or in a ponytail or in a bun, or if it is straight, but tucked behind the ears and behind, as long as it's not here and they're not playing with it and, you know, flipping it. So
that's a very good question. Guys, we tend to see longer hair as sexy. And so it does pose a problem for women entrepreneurs and for women that have subordinates as well, because of that reason. So again, if it's full and flowing around, it could be a distraction for a guy. When you do have shorter hair, it is more commanding the presence than for the person. That's absolutely true.
Yeah, anything that's a distraction.
Men go bald?
I'm sorry?
Is that why men just go bald?
Yeah, they take away all distractions.
Maybe one reason. Yes, but the very good point with the women.
Yeah.
So some quick factors for guys, and this has a lot to do with grooming as well. So for men, two-piece suit, navy or other dark color, typically, I don't abide by this rule much, only because I like to be a little bit different and push the envelope. So again, it coincides with my brand. A tie with simple pattern. Sometimes there's the opposite, or we call a power tie, which draws the attention to the tie, and that's strategic as well. Button down dress shirt. I like dress shirts, mostly white. Sometimes I do a little bit different color. For me, I add as a little accoutrement for the French cuffs. I like French cuffs. And again, all about your personal profile for your brand. Polished dress shoes in a dark color. Typically, that's usually a dark color. Earrings. Typically, I won't wear earrings for business. Get a haircut. I don't have to worry about that one. Clean, trimmed fingernails. Definitely minimal cologne. Cologne can be a distraction. I was with one gentleman one time, and the cologne was just outrageous. We were going to a meeting. I had to tell him, dude, you got to wash some of that off. And then light briefcase portfolio. Necessarily, that's not too much of a big deal nowadays, but definitely something that you may want to pay attention to.
Any questions there, gentlemen?
Nope.
Nope. No. All right, for women, a neutral colored suit in a navy or another dark color with skirt, or, you know, if you want to mix and match, really doesn't matter. Skirt length, we just talked about it. Be a little below the knee and never shorter than above the kney, like we just talked about mid-thigh. Blouses should be cotton or silk. Why? Why do you think this should be cotton or silk? I mean, what other is there? Linen? Linen just tends to wrinkle too quickly. So cotton and silk. And silk too, you got to be careful with silk. You drop, if you're sweating, it's going to stain all over. So I would say go with poly cotton blend.
Yeah, let's stick with cotton.
Or with rayon silk blend. Any kind of blends tend to fall better and also last a little longer as far as the wrinkle is concerned. Well, pantyhose, nobody seems to wear it these days. Pantyhose should be flawless. I guess because it's the West Coast. East Coast, they still do. Yes, you love.
Yes.
No,
It's
not
so,
in Arizona. It's awful.
It's
I
hot.
wore when I first moved here because the bank made me. I thought, I was like, I will quit this job if you guys keep making me wear these doggone pantyhose.
It's hot, yeah, it's really hot. But if you wear the appropriate length skirt, it shouldn't matter.
Right.
But if you do wear it, make sure that it's flawless. It doesn't have runs in it. Bring an extra one. Basic pumps, 1 to 2 inches. Now, anybody wearing a heel that's 3 to 4, no, 3, but 4 to 5 inches high. Have you seen people wear that at work? Uh-huh.
I have.
Oh, I have. And
Yeah,
people,
back in the day I used to.
well, first of all, it's not comfortable. They're doing it to themselves, meaning they complain at the end of the day, oh, my foot hurts. Number two, that you are, and especially if you're not in a sitting job, it's hazardous. You can trip and fall. And thirdly, it's not really good for your legs. You see all those varicose veins that you develop after you are like mid-30s is because of wearing those high heels, like this high. But anyway, it's people just kind of like hair, Myrna, what you said. People think that if you wear lower heels, you should be taken more seriously, like if you have shorter hair. So anybody with the high stilettos, anything more than 2.5 inches, one too many. I mean, too high. Simple accessories, no visible body piercings, nose rings, eyebrow rings, stuff like that. Makeup should be minimal and in conservative tones. Minimal cologne or perfume. And briefcase, same thing, you know, bags. Depending, like she's got, nobody carries a bag like that, but they do have briefcases and bags. Sometimes us women, they'll have a bigger bag for our, you know, files and folders and a smaller bag like she's carrying. So whatever you feel comfortable with, as long as it just doesn't become drudgery. Any questions on this?
Okay.
And
good.
one thing, talking about the accessories, especially if you wear bangles and bracelets, make sure that they don't jingle and jangle. Because if you are in an executive position, you're having a meeting and every time you, because we talk with our hands, I know Angela does, I do. Anytime it's like, you know, you talk and like jingle and jangle. So that's also considered as disruptive. So maybe one, I usually will wear one bracelet that is good as an accoutrement, but it's not disruptive.
Cool. So now we're gonna start talking about power walking. Okay, this is one of my favorite ones here. And this, I tell you, this has really got me a lot of attention when I needed it because of who I was meeting, where I was going, who I didn't want to talk to also. But it's important to understand how to power walk. This is one piece of the pie when we're talking about piecing together your whole arsenal of being this power person and with nonverbal communication or communicating confidence the way that you're supposed to, the way you should. Again, this will have an effect on your money, your wallet.
I like
I'm
what
serious.
Pam did in her recording yesterday.
Yeah. So understand how to power walk. Understand how to power walk. And now when my boss taught me this little technique, I was like, I know how to walk. He's like, no, you got to learn how to walk. And so when instituting power walking, and we'll talk about exactly what this is, and I may show you the video here or give that as an assignment, because it's going to be really important to understand and see some of the things that we can't display right now at this very moment, because we have so much room, but I want you to see some of the things about walking. Okay, so power walking. Now, again, everyone that we're talking to, I know you know how to walk, but you're going to really learn how to turn it on and make sure you utilize it the right way. Oh, quick story. So I did some modeling for this one organization, right? And this one gentleman, so we go practice, and it's called Dual Handle Bazaar. It's here. It's a lot of fun. I said, let me go ahead. They approached me. I was like, yeah, let me go ahead and do it. I've never done it before. So we were practicing. It separated the guys and the ladies. And the one guy who was over the whole entire thing, he said, okay, now I'm going to show you guys how to walk. Now, being a model, understanding how to model, you have to learn how to walk a certain way. They want you to learn how to walk a certain way. Guys have to know how to walk a certain way, women too. This guy could walk. He was showing the women how to walk, and it was amazing the way he was walking. I mean, he was, oh, no, you're not walking right, but he would walk, and he put on these high heels and showed the ladies how to walk. I was like, man, this guy's good. And this was the guy. Then he turned on to the guys. He really showed us how to walk then too. By then, I already knew how to do the walk that they wanted to do for the guys. But seeing this guy showing everyone, men and women, how to walk was amazing. I don't really think I can show women how to walk. I'll leave that to
I would love to see a man walking heels.
I was going to ask you the same thing. Are you going to put on some heels?
Any day. Please.
Not me. But anyway, so power walking, the way a person walks with confidence includes the pace, the stride or your gait, your posture, I always say this proprioception, excuse me, proprioception. I know the word, I know what it means, but I have the hardest time saying it. Proprioception basically means awareness of your body. And then power walking can be used to create a great first impression or to simply communicate or demonstrate what we're talking about here, your confidence without saying a word, okay? And you can look this up. There's a lot of information out there about power walking. So power walking, one of the most important things that we want to talk about is understanding how to practice, making sure you practice walking, okay? So when I say practice walking, I mean really practice walking. So one of the assignments, you're going to record that too.
I was going to say, that's your next assignment.
Yes, and you're going to record it. Yes, that's right. And so what I want you to do is I want you to take personal inventory of how you walk. There's so two parts to this assignment. One, I want you to just walk the way you currently walk, okay? So don't change anything, and you have to do this now that you already thought and bring to your awareness. You're going to be really thinking about it. Don't change anything on how you walk. Just walk the way you walk right now, right? So you're going to record that video. And then you're going to save it. You're going to post two videos at the same time. Then you're going to record after you've had this conversation, after you've thought about it again, after you rewatch this video, how you're going to power walk. Okay, so practice walking 30 minutes, right, a day. And this is all inclusive, not just for the video. But aim to walk for 30 minutes per day, at least 3 times per week to improve your stride, your gait. As you practice walking, remember to stand tall, keep your arms to the side, take long brisk steps. The exercise will do good, and your walk will also improve as a result. Okay, so here's what we're talking about. Sometimes we walk like our illustration right here. I see this all the time from my friends, from colleagues, from families. I see this a lot. This first half of this illustration, people just walk. And they aren't paying attention to how they walk. And you can also make the assessment when you're in a social setting, how people are attracted to you or how they're not attracted to you. It has a lot to do with your walk. Even in business, for business setting, it has a lot to do with your walk. You set the tone of the meeting, how you walk into that meeting. That's very important to realize. It's very important to notice. It's very important to start practicing. You will set the tone of the meeting. So one of the videos that I want you to watch also, and again, I'll show you this in a second, but one thing that I want you to do is there's a video called How to Walk with Confidence. I'll show you that in a second. But on the right side here, you see the guy now, there's a lot of difference from his eyebrows all the way down to his feet. Now, I don't know if you ever noticed this, but if you ever see any CEO, any person of a high status from larger corporations, if you see them walk, I'd be very impressed if you can find me a pigeon-toed CEO. Okay. Very impressed. I would be very impressed if you can show me someone that is of a high status that doesn't understand how to walk appropriately. Because when you start getting to that status, they teach you how to walk. When you're a politician, they teach you how to walk, teach you how to stand at the stand. They teach you how to, even some teachers, professors, they do that at that level. It's very important to understand that. In fact, we're talking to an organization right now that's in Philadelphia. They want us to coach their leaders, and one of the aspects of what they want to do is understand how to give the appropriate position, nonverbal communication when they're walking into a room and when they're in the boardroom before they do a presentation. That's all nonverbal communication, so that's very important. So let's talk about how we're going to make sure that you walk appropriately. So let me show you this video, and then we're going to talk about some of the confidence and what you can realize, or to begin, duality here. You have to walk confident, but you also have to be able to notice who can walk and walk as confident as you want yourself to walk. So take a look at this. So let me move this over right quick. So can everyone see this? So watch this video. It's 5 minutes. We won't do it right now, but this is one of your other assignments here, and it's recording, so you can always go back and look at this. But how to be more confident, how to walk confident. If you type that into YouTube, how to walking with confidence, it should be the first video that comes up. So one of the guys that dresses or that walks, and they'll have it in this video, is James Bond, or what's his name? They talk about how he had to learn how to walk. What's the guy? The latest James Bond guy. Daniel Craig, right? So Daniel Craig had to learn how to walk for this position, and and they don't talk about this. I saw another video sometime way long ago when he was making James Bond movies, but he had to learn how to walk. And so if you notice his walk, his gait, his stride, everything else, very confident, right? So if you had to look at this image here, I'm going to show you 3 different images. And because, again, once you start utilizing your observation skills, that's one of the 42 different skill sets, soft skills that we teach. If you had to look at these 3 people here walking, which one would you say is walking with more confidence, and why? No right or wrong answer on this one. I just want to you see your thought process.
Slide?
This slide. So this image right here. See this? No, sorry, not this one. Sorry, this one right here that popped up on the screen. So yeah, on the steps. So if I go here,
It's in the middle. Sorry.
there we go. So this one right here. I'm gonna show you 3 images. Of these 3, which one?
The lady.
The lady. Why do you say the lady?
She just looks very confident. The one guy on the right, the very end with the dark suit, he's got his hands behind it, you could kind of see a little slouch. This one over here doesn't look like he's very in control. He's looking more up towards the lady to me. So.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Who else?
I say the middle person's more confident.
Why?
The lady's a little too sexy with her hip out there, and the other guy's got his hands behind his back, and the guy in the middle, he's kind of owning his face. Both his hands are out. He's not like this, and he's neutral, and he's there. He's owning his face.
Good. Now, how many of you guys notice? Now, I'm bringing this to your attention right now, but do you ever notice this on your own when you're out and about? Do you ever look at people? I know we all people watch. Do you ever look at people for these minor details? If you haven't, you're going to start seeing this now that your awareness. So good.
Hang on, one more thing you said about the lady. So another thing about her confidence is she's holding on to the rail. Yeah. So thus, she might have had high heels. She's not confident enough that she's not going to trip. That's another reason that make sure that your skirt is not too tight, not too short, not too long, heels not too short or long, for this reason that you're not confident. If you're going to walk up the steps or down the steps, you might trip and fall.
Yeah, well said. Yeah. I would say the guy in the middle, for that reason, spreading. You can tell he is looking up. He has more erect posture. Guy in the back, very low, on the right side, very low power hands in the back, right? So this one here.
I noticed the guy on the right, his feet also.
Yeah. What about his feet?
Well, just how they're so far out. Yeah. Walking up the steps. So, what's the opposite of pigeon-toed? I don't know what you call that.
More like when the people are.
Like yes.
Is it pronated or pronate? Or?
Yeah.
What do you say, Pam?
I say that it's called bow-legged when they're opposite, I think, but I'm not sure. But I think that the middle gentleman definitely is leading that pack.
Okay. What about this next picture here, the photo with the two ladies here? Which one seems more confident?
Actually, I like the gal on the left best, where she's got her jacket in her hand and her phone, and she's got the smile and looking straight forward, I guess.
Okay.
She, you know, I feel like I think she looks better. I don't know if that's just an aesthetic thing. She's taller. I don't know. She
Okay.
looks better to me.
Okay. All right. What do you say, Angie?
I kind of agree, but you know, honestly, I had to do a walk one time for a thing, and walking with confidence and walking without having that sex appeal was very, very difficult for me. It was, I don't know what it is, but it was like, I thought I was walking confidently, but they were saying, no, Angie, you're walking like a Miss America pageant. You know, like I was, so walking confident is like easier said than done. I'm just saying it's
Yes, it is. It is.
It's not something, I thought I was like, oh, okay, but no, it's, so I don't know. I really think that it's the one on with the holding the jacket. She just seems like she knows what she wants kind of thing.
Okay. All right. What do you say, Bob?
I think both of these gals exude confidence, but I'm with everybody else. I'm going to give the nod to the gal on the left a little more, even though the gal on the right's got, you know, she's got flats on, you know, she's more in line with what Yasmin was saying, you know, don't wear heels and stuff. I think this other gal on the left is showing her confidence just a touch more than the other gal, but they both, I think, exude confidence here.
Okay.
Well, she totally lost the heels. She went with the extra pair. That, and especially because it's the airport, I do that too. I'll have my flats with me. So when I was traveling for business trips, I'll have my flats for walking and then change them as soon as I go say hello to someone, you know, put my heels on. So just got to be prepared.
What do you say?
Yeah, I've known a lot of gals that they wear running shoes, you know, until they need to. Otherwise, yeah, they're more comfortable and they get somewhere they need to go, and then they change their shoes when they need to. Yeah.
Yeah. Myrna, what do you say?
It's a hard call. I've learned that you should never put your hands in your pocket ever. So that to me, I don't know. It's a little detailed, but it's really casual when you put your hands in your pocket, so that the other lady's busy doing something that's more formal than putting your hands in your pocket.
Okay.
So I'd have to go with the lady on the left.
Yeah, she's
Okay.
more control of herself.
All right. Al, what do you say?
Yeah, actually, that's Myrna. That's exactly what I was looking at. Is the hand in the pocket, combined with the flats. You know, she doesn't look the same. The girl on the right, she does have a heel, but she definitely looks like she has some swag and, you know, just doing her thing. You know, to pull off that outfit, maybe you would need, you know, some confidence versus not dressing that way.
Now, here's a little nonverbal cue about the hand in the pocket. If you do put your hand in the pocket, thumb out. Thumb out. You want to have the thumb out all the time if you can. Sometimes, depending on the suit pant or whatever, it might be a little awkward, but thumb out. That does show more confidence. They've measured that, and they actually should utilize this for royalty. Royalty. They taught royalty of how to utilize this. If you look at old pictures from England and some of the other eras, they want to say eras of it's 1800s, 1700s. They often had their hand in their pocket. I can't deal with my blazer because I still have let's see, this one has it. But they would have their hand here and their hand, my hands in my pocket, and their hand they take pictures like this a lot, and that would show royalty. That's how you could determine if someone was common folk or if someone was royalty. So the thumb out in the pocket does show confidence.
The power pose.
It's part of the power pose, exactly. So that's just a little tweak about the hand. So if you do put your hand in your pocket, and I catch myself doing it sometimes, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to take my hand out of my pocket. I try to keep them out of my pocket. If you do, thumb out. Last picture. Look at this one here. Who has more confidence in their walk, their gait, their pose?
I'll have to say the girl in the middle.
Girl in the middle, okay. Why so?
Well, I mean, she has both her hands out. Both the guys are looking towards her. You know, she has on a blazer or a coat. The guys don't. So she's dressed a level above.
Okay, good. All right, good observation. What do you say? Next, couple more.
For me, the gentleman with the brown shirt and the blue cuffs, I think he looks more commanding. He has a more commanding presence, I feel, in this situation. Mm-hmm. His shoes are polished.
Yes, they are.
His slacks, they're an upgrade of Dickies. This other guy, those could possibly be Dickies.
Very good. Yeah, there's no seam. The other guy.
Yeah, I mean,
Dickies.
His
I love it.
His that shirt that he has on, that's a high-end.
It is.
That's a high-end shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And it just maybe they've all been in a company meeting and they're just taking a break, so that would warrant not having the actual jacket on and all of that. You're just kind of walking in a hallway or something like that. But it looks like he has more command of the situation, I think.
Yeah, good.
In my opinion.
Good, awesome, good. One more. Who else? What do you say?
It's between Bob or me. It's Bob.
Fire away.
I'll go with, I think, the lady in the middle. I think she knows what she's talking about. She kind of reminds me when I walk and talk with people, like try to, she's commanded the attention.
Okay.
So, but
right.
Yeah.
Good. When you start looking at people, once you look at the body posture is going to talk to you a lot now that you are aware of it. If you look at the body posture, these three here, that you can tell, well, we'll talk about a little bit later on, but you can tell how the body posture, who has their shoulders rolled forward, who has their shoulders rolled back, who's more erect, right? So that all those little things matter when someone's approaching, or you're about to approach someone, or you see someone walking down the hall. You can tell, again, how someone stands. If you look at them from the front, you can tell how they're standing from the side. And again, that whole side motion that we don't want. We don't want this. We don't want that. We don't want this look, okay? We don't want the head forward, even though the eyes may be up, head still down. And that's really important. So you roll the shoulders back, chest tends to go out, and then the head and neck tends to go up. And one of the most important things that you want to do, and I catch myself doing this at times, but I'm very much aware of it, especially if I'm walking into a setting where it matters. When I say it matters, is that if I'm hosting or I'm about to go in some sort of place where there's a lot of people, and I always make sure that I'm looking up, more straight up. I see a lot of people walk, and they look down, and you don't want to look down. It says very, very low power. So take personal inventory on how you are walking, where you're looking. I catch myself at times outside because it's bright outside here in Arizona. I will sometimes walk my head down just to not have the sun beat down on my eyes or on my face. But take personal inventory of that. Anything you want to say there? Mm-hmm. All right. So we're going to go to power sitting now.
What happened to the video you said?
I have that as a warning slide. It's 5 minutes. Actually, let's do this. Let's do this one thing. You're right. Let's do this one thing. Let me show you this. Let me go to the part where he talks about James Bond here. Can you hear this? Can everyone hear it? Okay.
But for those things to work, you first need to be in a conversation with a girl.
I want to talk to you about.
That's why today we're doing something entirely different. Basically, I'm going to teach you 5 ways how to make her walk high status.
Okay.
How to walk down the street and have people looking at you thinking, wow, this guy is self-confident. Now, if you want to look like James Bond walking down the street
and his
women
pocket,
turning their heads, let's get started.
So watch this.
One of the biggest mistakes
Look up,
guys
push it down.
when they're walking is they look down all the time.
Now realize how he has his hands in his pocket. Very, very, very low power. Even more low power than having your hand in your pocket is having your thumbs in your pocket, not the other fingers. This is extremely low power. Very, very low power. This is even more high power than the other, and this is even the highest power, thumbs out. But making sure you don't have your thumbs in your pocket and the fingers out, that's very low. Look at his head. See, there you go. There's that curl right there, right there. Look at that. Right? Hands in the pocket, chest sunken in, head down, chest in. Okay, let's continue on.
Now, you're listening to their music and they don't even notice it, but on a subconscious level, this is saying to people around that you're not having your shit straight. Your life sucks. It shows that you're either really, really mad, something bad happened to you, or you're just generally unhappy. And honestly, no girl wants to deal with that. So look up. I know it might sound strange or too simple and too easy, but you will need to untrain yourself first from bad habits. And
that's very important. Untraining yourself, and this is what this whole program is all about. So bringing some things, all those things that we're talking about, to your awareness. And when you bring that to your awareness, you untrain yourself. And then we also talk about risk, R-I-S-C, which would make sure you reflect, improve, and then self-correct. And that way you'll make sure that you're always paying attention to yourself, but you're also, again, the duality, you'll pay attention to others. You'll be able to assess level of confidence and what they're communicating to you.
Then practice the good habits. Just look at these guys. None of them looks confident.
Right, look at that.
There's a huge
looking down,
the gangsters.
down.
Where do the guys look as they walk? Just notice how all three, Turtle, Johnny, and Eric, look down as they walk. And how do you look like they're in a terrible mood? Now, you can't see Vin and Chase right here, but whenever he's walking, he's looking up. He's looking in front of him, and you get an impression that he's more confident, that he's more satisfied with his life. And that's what gets him the girls all the time. Second point, shoulders back. This is like an extension to the previous point, that basically if you're walking with your shoulders in front, it comes naturally that you walk like an old man and you're looking down all the time, which makes you look stupid, boring, and kind of in a bad mood even if you're not. However, if you put your shoulders back and you prop up your chest just a little bit as you walk, you get a whole another impression.
Look at the difference between the two.
Look how James Bond walked right here. There's literally not a single second.
Hand in his pocket. Hand in his pocket. Now, if you notice, hand in his pocket, and then what do you do with the other hand? Typically, it's usually above posing. He's going to be above the waist. So watch what he does.
Just a little bit.
He didn't show it that time, but he brings that hand, the right hand, above the waist.
Exactly what I want to get from you, man. I want you to look up, walk slowly, put your shoulders back, and prop up your chest just a little bit for now. 3, your hands. There's literally no better way to show your high status and your confidence but with your hands. They're literally making it or breaking it when a girl is judging you or when you're walking towards a girl. But if you put them in your pockets like most guys do, it closes you up. It's terrible, and I've read studies that show that when a guy holds his hands in his pockets, it makes him actually less approachable. So you gotta let your arms move with your body, because as you walk confidently, your shoulders naturally move. So let your arms swing as you move your shoulders. Because when I worked on hand gestures with my clients, many guys told me that they feel much more comfortable with their hands in their pockets rather than having them swinging back and forth. You know, I get that for now. But once you get confident with walking as you walk slow, you'll actually notice that letting your hands move with your body is gonna make you more confident because you let your energy flow that way. It's like walking out of the gym thinking, damn, I'm jacked. It's the same thing here. Just imagine you're on a red carpet all the time and just walk like those guys do. Now, if you seriously have a problem, if you absolutely cannot do anything what I just said, then instead of putting your hands all the way in the pockets, just leave your thumbs out. Because that way you're still kind of holding them out, but you don't feel uncomfortable swinging them back and forth. They move a little bit more. And I don't know how come such a small thing makes a difference, but studies show that it does. Now, I'm trying to make these videos interesting and under 5 minutes. So if you want to know the other 2 things that are going to make your high status walk even more badass, click on the video in the next couple seconds. Now, before you do that, I have...
Okay, so questions there? Questions, thoughts?
No.
Yeah? What about for women?
Okay, so ladies didn't ask. What about for women?
Well, that's what I was thinking. Angie said she was doing like a status walk versus a power walk. So these guys, he said high status walk. Is for men the same high status and power walk, but for women it's different?
Well, it's similar. It's very similar. Same thing. You walk with your shoulders back, with your chin up. You're not looking down. You're not slouching. But for women, you always have a purse in your hand. What do you do with your hands? You want to tell me?
What do you notice you do with your hands?
Like, so when you're holding the purse, you mean? So basically,
We're always holding a purse when we're walking.
right. So, I mean, usually you're holding it to the side, like with, I mean, it's, you know I sometimes if I'm talking with somebody, because I don't want the purse to be swinging around while I'm walking and talking or something. So I hold it.
Yep.
And then have my other hand out or something. So, but yeah, it does make a difference, especially because having your shoulders back, especially if you're used to looking down a lot, which I used to be all the time, that I do have to make a conscious effort to pull my shoulders back because I am a little bigger in the chest. So I try to, to be, without seeming to be, to have them out there, but just to be kind of confident enough so that people are looking at me versus, my shoulders and my chest being poked out. So I don't know how else to put it, but.
No, you're absolutely right. So depending how big your purse is, if you have a purse that has a sling, then of course you put your one hand on the purse and the other one, is free and you walk that way. If it's a clutch, that's easy. So clutch, you can hold it up here or you can walk with your clutch in your hand. So either way, you always have one hand free and just make sure that you are swinging it with confidence. Yeah. And the other one, you can put it on the purse or you can, either hold it or put it on. So if this was the purse, I'm going to show you. So if this was the purse, right, and it has a sling, so I would just put my hand on it or underneath it, either way, and then just let it swing with your hand. It won't swing too far. Just hold it with your hand, with your arms. Okay?
So for guys, and now again, the rudiment that we're talking about is all the same for men and women. Shoulders back.
Yeah.
Right? The posture straight, chin up, looking up, not down. The rudiment is the same. So one other thing that I started making sure that I don't do is, so you'll see sometimes when we get a little closer, the feet. Sometimes the feet have the tendency to go out and you walk like, like this. And that's not the power walk. So even when you're learning how to model, they teach the guys how to walk with their feet more straight. And I started this because of martial arts a long time ago. We had to make sure that we walk with our feet straight this way. And so that has a different, your gait becomes totally different. The sound of the walk, if you're walking with heels or guys' heels, that sound, which also again is part of the hearing, is attractive. It makes a total different aspect of how you're walking or what you're saying when you're walking, what you're communicating. And when they see you out like this, nope. Not on the toes, they like pigeon toe, and you're walking kind of like this. You want to make sure heel, toe, heel, toe, heel, toe. And I had this, one of my friends, childhood friends growing up, I had to teach him how to really walk without being pigeon toed. But then he reverted back to what's comfortable. And he still walks pigeon toed to this day. But he's very low power, very, very, very low power. And so we want to be very, very mindful of that, okay?
And for women, now if you're wearing a skirt, especially if it's a pencil skirt, there is no way you can avoid it. You're going to have a sexy walk because the pencil skirts go like this, and then your feet are one cross the other. You know, and that tends to be, that's how the models walk. They do one cross the other. But if you don't have a pencil skirt, the best way not to, what you pointed out earlier, Angela, is not to appear too sexy, is like what Granison said, one in front of the other. Yeah. But if you have a pencil skirt, you're going to, but so with a pencil skirt, take smaller steps because you cannot take wider steps, and it will be cross. It will be cross. Otherwise, just straight. I tend to walk on my heel. Granison says I walk like an elephant. When I'm upstairs, it's like boom, boom, boom. So,
oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I forgot I wasn't on mute.
No, it's like that's how I walk. What is that? But that's, you know, I just learned how to walk. That's my power, like boom, boom, boom. You'll hear me coming. And even with my heels on, you'll know that I'm coming. So, you know, it's normal is to walk straight, but I just walk on my heel. If you walk on your the ball of your feet, that's the best way to do it. But
that's running. Well, I wouldn't walk on the ball. I know I wouldn't. I'd never walk on my ball.
Well, especially if you have heels on and you don't want to interrupt people.
Yeah. Sorry.
If you don't want to interrupt people, you're coming late to a meeting, you have to walk on the ball of your feet.
That's cool. That's true for women, yes.
How do you walk with confidence with the backpack? Or can you?
Oh, that's, you know, that's even easier because the back, if it is on your back.
Put it on my back and walk like.
It has your back straight anyway. Mm-hmm. With the backpack, I've seen that my back is, you know, straight and my chin is up because that's the way, and just make it tighter so it pulls your shoulders back. So you're not slouching. If you tighten it, it will pull your shoulders back and you automatically will look up and your chin up.
Right.
Gotcha.
I recently switched to backpack.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
All the mortgage industries are giving backpacks to all the loan officer for, you know, because we carry our laptops and everything in it. So.
So for work, Pamela, you use a backpack?
Yes, I was using a large roll briefcase. Mm-hmm. That when you pushed it, it could roll any kind of way, you know, those newer style that's out. And it was quite expensive, and I think I just got tired of it after a little while, and I had to go on a business trip, and I didn't know how it would be rolling this big cumbersome briefcase throughout the halls of Baylor University.
Yeah.
So I thought that might be a little awkward. And so I just made the decision to go and find a backpack that was black and that looked upper scale. So it's got like more like a sateen finish.
Okay.
And it's a name brand or whatever, but that's been working pretty well for me, actually. I like it.
I mean, I've always carried for the last, I would say 3 or 4 years, I've always carried a backpack for work. And what I've done is having the backpack, Angela, what you were saying, I always had it on my shoulder like this and then purse in the other hand. So that's how it's been. I don't put it on both sides. So this, you automatically will be straight because it's heavier with your laptop and then your purse in the other arm. So I will always sling it on one side.
That's exactly how I do it.
Yep.
Cool. Posture is biggie for me because we had to really start focusing on this within martial arts. So posture is huge. And you utilize a lot of posture when you're power sitting as well. And they've done some studies on power sitting. Now, this may be a new term to you, but it's very much so something that's out there in the mainstream. You can look up a lot of information about power sitting and power posing, power standing. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. So 8 power poses that will make you successful at work. Power sitting, right? We have Psychology Today wrote an article about that. The power sitting facts. There we go. It says the key to power sitting is being in open body posture and spreading out a little. Imagine leaning back and putting your feet up on the desk in the sort of high power position. Your body increases. Now, here's the big thing about it. Your body, when you're in these power poses, it says your body, you increase the amount of testosterone coursing through the veins while decreasing the amount of cortisol. That's the enzyme that causes stress, right? And it makes you feel more powerful and taking risks begins, right? So making sure power posing, power sitting, with Joe Biden and Obama here. Yeah, look at how they're high power, low power poses tend to complement one another to give us interaction, especially if one person is more subordinate than the other, right? The other person tends to take a more low power role. One person in charge and the other isn't. See how Obama takes space while Biden hunkers down in his chair, right? So here's a very good nonverbal communication factor here. So power sitting has a lot to do with your back. So if you find that your back tends to hurt when you make it straight, then you really need to probably work out some of the, okay, so you have the abdominal muscles, just a cute quick body test, and then you have the trans abdominal muscles back here on the side, more coming to the back, that if they're not strong, your middle back will hurt. So you'll start finding that when you start utilizing correct posture, you're going to start strengthening these muscles, but you may feel that your back may feel a little bit out of place, out of whack, or unnatural, because it is unnatural for you at the moment, but it'll become much, much better. And so we talk about power sitting. You see how the gentleman is sitting here. Power sitting is a visual representation of how you sit and communicating your level of comfort and confidence. When done right, power sitting will increase your own testosterone, decrease your level of cortisol. As you see Yasmin getting her power sit on here. So look at this gentleman here, how he's sitting. It's important to understand that power posing, power sitting, most of the people who are confident, you're going to be more open. You have to be very open, but you're going to be more open for sure. Meaning that you're not going to have the hands clenched. Sometimes you may, depending on how you power sit, you can have the hands crossed over another, or one hand on the knee if you're crossing your legs, one hand on the other, down the other side, other leg, or on the actual sofa or chair, whatever it may be. And you'll see, if you come to the event tomorrow, you'll see how we demonstrate this. And I do all of this. I'm very much so paying attention on this, and it makes every bit of effect how people approach me, and how people talk to me, how people deal with me when we're hosting events. So I power sit, I power stand, I power pose. You see me do all these different things. And so when we talk about power sitting, if you have to look at this, just to kind of, again, a duality being noticed, or noticing what's being communicated, more confidence. Who has more power and who has the lower power here? Al, who has high power, who has low power? Myrna, you're next. No, Myrna, you're next after the fact. Let's Al go, Myrna. Al go first, then Myrna.
I don't know. I would say maybe the guys on the end.
Power? High power or low power?
Higher power.
Which guy? Which end?
He said the guys on the end. Both guys?
Yeah, I'm saying both. I'm trying to determine, because one is talking to the lady.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe he's lower power and the other guy's higher power. Okay. But one in the middle definitely seems low power to me, with his legs together and hitching on to his portfolio or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, the way the lady that's talking to the guy with her legs crossed, she seems low power to me.
This one here?
Yeah.
She's about to get very, very, very low power. You'll see that once they put the other foot wrap around, you have that little snake thing going on with your legs. That's very, very low power. Very, very close. Sorry.
Right.
Go ahead.
Snake thing.
Yeah. It's like they wrap their leg around their leg. I can't even do that. I'm too bulky to do that. But I tried it one time and I was like, I can't do that. But, okay, good. Myrna, what do you say? Who's high power? Who's low power?
I agree with him. The guy on the far right's high power, and so is the lady sitting next to him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. She looks great.
She looks very confident.
Yes.
Yeah. Who's the lower power?
Oh, definitely the lady over crossing her legs and the guy in the middle.
Yeah, these two
Yeah,
here?
those two.
Okay, yeah. Yep, in this picture, I would say she's the most high power.
Mm-hmm.
Her hands, I think they're one on top of the other. They're not interlaced, which is fine. And that's, she can't spread, well, he's spreading a little bit, but these two have the higher power. This guy right here is definitely low power. And these two here, it's very, very low power.
You can't spread.
They can't spread.
They can just spread with the elbows. Right. They can't do that.
Right. Okay, Pam, this one here. Pam and then Bob. Who's higher power? Who's low power here?
Well, I think that the gentleman on the second to the left there with his leg crossed over and
the Asian guy,
that guy. He's high powered. Just for number one, he's dressed one up. He's got the blazer. Number two, they're all looking at him. He's got the floor.
Yeah.
He's definitely exuding confidence. I feel like he's definitely the one in control there for sure. That's for the male.
Yeah.
The female would be the gal to the right.
Here?
Yeah. And she's got her pumps on that are a neutral tone, so that's good. I feel like she's very put together. It looks like she's very, very put together. So I feel like those two out of that scenario are the power.
Yep.
Okay.
People.
Bob, who do you say?
I would agree. I think the guy and the gal, she picked the same guy and gal that I would pick. Now, keep in mind, I'm probably a little bit different, and I understand where you're coming from here, Grandison and Yasmin, where you guys are at. Remember, I come from the land of the Northwest, where if you wear a tie to work, you're obviously looking for a job. They wear shorts at Microsoft. They'll go to job interviews in shorts. You won't see Tim Cook at Apple with a tie on all that often. They don't do that. That's software people. The people at Weyerhaeuser up here is very much a suit and tie kind of a place. But any of your Nintendos, your Microsofts, those people, they don't even shower, let alone wear nice clothes. So it is nothing like these pictures as far as who's got the power there. You wouldn't know who's got the power in any given room by their dress. You just got to know the players. So there are some places that don't go to the stuff, but this is very interesting. And I'd have picked the same guy and the same gal.
Thus, Bob, from what you said, that's why they're having issues with communication. A lot of these IT companies, and we're going in there, and they can't even communicate. The top level and their working, the tech guys, there is such a communication gap, and which is all forms of communication, verbal and nonverbal.
Yeah, they're even complaining about how even when the executives are complaining, I'm thinking, why don't you mention this to them? How some of the tech guys do come in there and they're presenting and they're not dressed appropriately. So there is still a dichotomy there. However, even I'm going to say, in addition to this too, most of us on this call are entrepreneurs, and we're dealing with people, we're talking to people, and it's going to be very apropos for us to take a stance and dress a little bit different, or dress to your style, your brand, in order to make sure that you communicate the level that you want to communicate. We are dealing with a lot of different people, and again, there's five different generations in an organization right now, and all those things do matter. So, Bob, yeah, you're exactly right. However, everyone on this call, I think they're entrepreneurs and or going into that section, and it would be very imperative for us as entrepreneurs to really understand how to be and notice the person of power and be able to approach that person of power and notice what's being communicated. So lastly, we'll talk about power posing and power standing. Any questions there? I forgot to ask you there. Any questions there?
No, can I add a comment to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
What you were saying, like, Bob, well, when you ask, would I do business with that person? That's kind of what I was thinking about. Certain sectors of business have a different code. But to that point, I think like on this bottom picture here, the guy that we said that is the power guy, he doesn't have on a shirt and tie, but he does have on that blazer,
Right.
So he's still, kind of that lower business casual that could work in that environment, but he is standing out. He's not in just the short sleeve shirt or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good notice there. Absolutely. Yeah, and again, the button down shirt, the one up thing is always good to adhere to if you have that opportunity. Power posing, power standing. So here's Yasmin quote: "Empower yourself with power poses and power postures." And Amy Cuddy did a study as well about how, and I do this, I take myself out of the environment and make sure I adhere to a power pose before I speak, before I go into a meeting that's important. For most of my meetings, actually, if I have the opportunity, I will do that. So power posing, practice power posing, standing tall and spread your arms and legs spread out wide to help you feel more confident. This type of dominant pose also reduces cortisol and stress and increases testosterone, which will add to your confidence. Take a moment to duck into a bathroom stall, empty room, power pose for a minute, and then walk out confidently and walk out power walk.
Yay, let's do this.
And there's been a lot of different studies. So the victory pose with the V, people who are born blind innately do this when they are victorious. It's just amazing how this power pose enthuses a person or gives them so much more, not only enthusiasm, but also more confidence. And so what are power poses? So we talk about hold your head up straight, right? Hold your chin up, pull your shoulders back, chest out, and then align your back straight. So even when you're standing, and one of the really good things to do before you start talking, before you do a talk, is just to stand there with a pose, a power pose. Steeple the hands, first hand the legs. We talked a little bit about that last time, but making sure your posture communicates what you are or how important you are and what you're going to be mobilized and doing.
That's the mountain pose.
But that's the mountain pose right here, exactly. Yasmin spoke about that last week as well. So of course, bad posture versus good posture, and making sure this little ball does help get the strength and the balance and everything else. So if you have one of those, great. If not, then just sitting in this chair erect or putting, with the therapist at my daughter, is roll a towel and put it in the back so she can start sitting up erect. Her mother thought she had something that was going on her back, and I'm like, no, it was just bad posture, and took her to the doctor, and the doctor said, oh, it's bad posture. So where do you use power poses? In elevated situations like a break room work, if you have some sort of side room, social situations, networking events, public speaking, giving a pitch, job interviews. These power posing, power sitting, power standing go hand in glove. And again, it's all about communicating the message that you want to communicate. High power poses. I met with one gentleman who did this pose here on the right for the very, very first time, first impression. And I was like actually taken back a little bit. I'm like, this is our first time. But he had his feet, they were to the side, I didn't see the bottom of his feet. And I'm thinking, okay, cool. Now I understand now power play. And we talked about it some years later on, power play on his behalf, because I was coming to him to talk about an alignment we want to do with the company. Okay, it worked. It was good. It was actually a good time to use that. See a power play here, the power sitting, this lady sitting here with her arms spread out across quite a bit and her legs crossed as well. And then this is my favorite one. This is the one I do when I'm by myself in order to gain more confidence, to have that influx of confidence. This one right here, what they call the politician or the CEO, depends on who you're talking to. I do this one here on the left side. The right side, not so much. I do that sometimes when I'm talking, palms out, thumbs, that also matters. Palms toward people and when talking. And if you notice that they're saying that when you're talking, you have your palms more towards people, you're more believable than going like this. They say you're hiding something. So
Angie, talk like this.
Yeah. So and these are all little nonverbal things that just transpire, and people are making judgments in their mind. They are going to make judgments. Give them something to judge for, something in the right manner versus something that's not how your intent is, okay? Another high power pose, here's the victory one. Again, people who are born blind, when they win, they do this power pose here. They've never seen anybody do that. How does that transpire? This one here, the Superman or the Wonder Woman, depending if you're a man or a woman. That one also, I utilize this one too. This one does. I was uncomfortable doing this one here at first, but it does help me power up. So I use 2 of those to help me power up, and then it definitely works. And everything, I start watching low power words. We'll talk about that next week. I start really adjusting how my total being is, and I come out of the meeting victorious. So here's your graphic. And I'm rushing here because I think we're close to time. Here is your graphic. This is your quick reference graphic. You'll have this. And power dressing, power walking, power sitting, power posing, power talking. And so again, how to utilize this is before you go into a meeting. You asked me to get a power post, power sitting on right now. Before you go into a meeting, or before, as a refresher, making sure, no, you're not intimidating me. And make sure, that's what you intimidating me. Make sure you look over this. Make sure you look over these just right quick. Again, you'll be able to download it right to your phone, keep it in your gallery, put it in the album, so you have all of them there. You're gonna have 6 by the time we are done. And boom, 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 boom. So your homework assignment again for today is
the video.
The video, 2 videos. Remember, just record your regular walk. The more we can see of you, the better. So just record your regular walk, and then intentionally do a power walk. Mind the shoulders back, mind the chin up, mind the chest out, mind everything else, mind the feet out versus in, mind, walking, your gait, everything else, mind all of that. Okay, so that's the homework assignment for next week.
Hey, and if anybody coming tomorrow to the event, if you are, come a little early, we can do a actual, assignment.
We do a nice little quick refresher and say, okay, now let's put it into action at the actual event. That's what we like doing. Again, social experiments. Make sure you social experiment. And if you have something that was positive, you noticed that was totally different, make a video, put it in the Champions of Confidence private Facebook group. Again, social experiment. You have to understand how to utilize this and notice what transpires when you utilize it, okay? Any questions?
And hey, if you are coming and you're not doing the tasting and eating the bacon, you don't have to pay.
I'll be in Scottsdale tomorrow, so I'll probably show up a little bit late. So
okay, just come and network.
Okay.
Yes, of course.
All right, good. Is it helpful?
Yes, very.
All right, I'm going to be watching. Now I'm going to have my observation skills now. When I see you, I'm going to make sure, okay, you walk in high power or low power, right? Because we're going to work at it. Yes, that's right. Scrutinizing.
Oh, here we go.
I'm already concerned of what you think about how we already walk. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Mine's going to both look the same, so I'm just kidding.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you very much for your time. Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All is well with everyone for the remainder of the evening, and we will chat with you next week. We'll see you in the Facebook group before that, though.
Yes.
All right. See you later.
See you later. Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.